I've scaled dozens of e-commerce brands from 7 figures to 8 figures. I've virtually run Facebook and Google ads for nearly every single niche, from beauty, fashion, wellness, CPG, packaged goods, food. On top of that, I used to work for VaynerMedia, where I was one of the first hires on their growth department. Then I jumped over to BarkBox, where I helped the company go public by leading their marketing efforts, specifically in Google ads and Facebook ads. Now I spend my time owning and operating the Moonlighters, where we specifically help brands go from 7 figures to 8 figures using the exact tactics that I'm going to break down in this video. From my years of experience in e-commerce, I can confidently say that 2024 is vastly different than any other time in the market that we have seen. So in this video, I'm going to reveal exactly what I would do if I was starting a business, or if my business was already operating at $1 million, and how I would bring it to $10 million in 2024. So the very first thing that I would do, and the most common thing that we see right now, is that brands come to us and they don't understand what their goals should be. Now, this might sound crazy. How do you get to $1 million? How do you even get to $500,000 and not understand what your goals are? The reality is your goals are vastly different from going from 0 to $1 million than $1 million to 10 million. It's so much harder to acquire the next incremental customer. So we need to make sure our goals are aligned to what's actually realistic, and not just what was done at the very beginning when your brand was hot, or when you had that big drop, or you had that new product that come out, or you had that influencer that hit for the first time. It's really, really critical to actually know what your goals are and why those are your goals, because you could stand by those. So you can never really be in a scenario where you're A, losing money. You'll always be profitable if you know your goals and what you can spend. And B, you can make sure that anyone that you hire, whether it's a person who's running your ads, whether it's us who runs your ads, or literally anyone who operates within your business, you could always tie their performance back to a goal so that everyone's aligned to the same mission. These 7 metrics that you need to track that are absolutely most important to actually get to your goal are: first, revenue, cost of goods, the margin from those cost of goods, profit, number of orders, average order value, and profit per order. These are basically going to be the core, most fundamental metrics. We basically need to understand that one core metric of profit per order. That is essentially going to serve as our baseline, or our break-even cost per acquisition. If your profit per order was exactly $100, after you account for all your costs of goods, any other negatives that you need to put on your balance sheet, your profit per order comes out to $100. You could then acquire a customer exactly for $100 and break even. You'll make $0 for your business. You will gain $0 for your business, but what you will acquire is a new customer. On the flip side, if you want to grow a little bit slower and you still need some profit, you like to have a little profit, little comfiness on that balance sheet, no problem. Cut percentages off that profit per order to establish what your cost per acquisition needs to be. For example, we'll use the $100 still as an example here. If we pull back 10% on that, that means we should acquire customers for $90 on average. And if we acquire customers for $90 on average, then we're giving ourselves $10 profit per order. As a business owner, you could establish whatever you need your profit per order to be, but it should be clear and everyone should totally, completely understand that. The beauty of having a profit per order, or a CAC number, is that it's just a math equation to get to what your return on ad spend is, what your overall business ROI is, what your MER target could be. Anything that you need to derive from this basically comes from your profit per order, or your break-even cost per acquisition. But once you establish your goals, you can now actually move on to your marketing channels. But first, it's actually really important to look at what you're doing and how you can improve it, because chances are, if you've gotten to $1 million already, or just under, I'm just telling you what I would do. I was in your shoes at $1 million right now. So the first audit you want to conduct is your Facebook and Google ads audit. Where are your marketing dollars being spent, and how effectively are they pulling back to you? So what I'd recommend in this case, grab all your data over the last 12 months for Facebook, data over the last 12 months for Google, and just keep pulling the year data for both Facebook, for Google, and analyze: A, where's my better return on ad spend? B, where am I getting site visitors more effectively while still optimizing to a conversion? We don't care about traffic campaigns. The next thing you're going to want to do is actually take whatever the platforms are saying. So what is showing in the Facebook UI, what is showing in the Google UI, and compare that to Google Analytics, or even better in this case is the Shopify marketing dashboard. What you'll find is going to be a huge drop off on Facebook, because Facebook is a view and click platform, while Google is actually going to show you pretty steady in terms of the results. You really, really want to lock in on where are the dollars best spent. The next thing you're going to want to do is do a breakdown of all your demographics within the ad accounts. So what this is going to tell you is where the money should be spent. So if you have a $100,000 budget that you're used to spending, and you're spending 50-50 between Facebook and Google, Google, but Google, based on Shopify data, Google Analytics data, and the Google Ads platform are all showing you a higher return on ad spend, it's time to move money from Facebook to Google. You should establish a balance between the platforms. The next piece is actually looking at where is your money being spent within the platform. On the Facebook side, here are the key reports that you should pull. Keep in mind, you can do all this completely for free in the Facebook Ads Manager reporting. It's going to take a little while. Get your age breakdown. Go to Facebook, go to reports, and break everything down by age. The most important metrics that you want to look at are spend, purchases, revenue, ROAS, cost per acquisition, CPM, and CPC. What you should see is evenness in your ROAS for every single age group. Let's say you generally operate at a 2x ROAS. You should basically see a 2x return on ad spend across all age groups within a 10 or 15% range. If you see one age group in particular is vastly underperforming or overperforming, meaning we have a return on ad spend that's 3 for say 18 to 24 age groups, it's time to shift money into that 18 to 24 ad groups. Now, this same thinking applies to gender, day of the week, platform, even placement. So take a look at male versus female versus unknown and understand, is there a clear, huge ROAS difference? If there is a huge ROAS difference, then you have the opportunity to just shift your money there. Exclude men or exclude women. It's completely fine in this case. And in fact, it could result in a substantial increase in your return on ad spend. Next is day of week. So what you're going to need to do on both the Facebook and Google side is actually download all of the data from these reports and pivot them out into an Excel or Google Sheet. What you want to do here is just really understand, is there a day of the week where my return on ad spend, where my conversion rate, where my cost per acquisition is different than another day? So what we like to do is we like to shift our budget around and make sure that we're spending more when we're more likely to make money. Don't overspend your dollars on days or people who are less likely to convert when you can spend your dollars on the more efficient, more effective converters. If you're only spending $100,000, $200,000 a month on these marketing channels, you don't really need to worry about excluding a certain age group. You might be cutting out a few purchasers here and there, but they're not going to be efficient purchases to grow your business at the goals we established in step 1. So the second audit that you need to perform is a conversion rate audit on your site. It's so important that you actually know what levers you can pull to make this conversion rate better, because we could drive all of the traffic at the most effective structure with the best targeting possible, but ultimately, if your site doesn't convert, no one's going to buy your product. This all operates under the assumption that you have $1 million, your product is good. You've got to $1 million or you've got to $500,000, your product is strong. Now the next step is figuring out how can we make our conversion rate better, and most of that can be done on site. What I'd recommend doing is compare your site to other industry leaders. Let's say you're in tech and you sell custom laptops. You're not just going to want to go to eBay and see what they do. You're not going to want to go to Best Buy and see what they do. What you're going to want to do is look at similar competitors that are just one stage above you. If you're that tech brand, look at businesses that are doing $10 or $20 million a year, because that's probably going to indicate similar setups that you need to follow. What I mean by this is simplify your product pages. Make sure you're including key information, but make sure that your add to cart buttons are up on the page. Keep it simple. And really, what you need to do in this audit is look at every single page, every single conversion rate, every product conversion rate. What's functioning the best? Is anything broken? Is everything tracking properly? The third part of auditing here is retention. Retention is basically, is a customer going to come back? Yes or no? You need to look at your historic retention rate. So you can go into Shopify, go into your report section, and go to your cohort analysis. We want a customer to come back at least once over their lifetime. What I mean by this is, if your average customer spends $100 with you over the lifetime, we want that customer to spend the same amount again, meaning they spend $100 with you today, a year from now, or 2 years from now, that customer should be worth a total of $200 over the course of that time. This is going to show us that you generally have a healthy retention rate. You don't get there with one product. You don't get there by doing nothing. There's a ton that needs to be done here. The retention rate analysis is going to be done in both Shopify and whatever email or CRM platform that you're using. So if you're using Klaviyo, you want to just understand what percentage of my customers are repeat purchasing. And we could break those down into audiences. We could specifically target those audiences. We could flow those audiences into Facebook, into Google, into other marketing platforms. But really, the core of this is what percentage is repeating. Okay, so you've completed your audit. You understand what's wrong in Facebook ads, what's wrong in Google ads, maybe what's right in these channels as well. What do you need to prioritize first? If you have a cash reserve and you rely on on consistent volume in your business. So really, I'm speaking to those that are doing $500,000 to $1 million in revenue right now. Focus your first efforts on dialing in your marketing efforts. Really lock into how can you figure out a way to be ultra profitable in your ads right now without sacrificing the volume that you currently have. If you are not in a cash rich position and you are a smaller business, or perhaps you're just getting really tight on your margin, focus entirely on your site and conversion rate. The reason for these differences is conversion rate is going to have a bigger impact on what you're currently doing. If you're running a lot of volume and that volume's not getting what you need, we need to make sure that we really just start at the top of the funnel and stop wasting our money. Conversion rates are going to take a little bit longer, but if you have time on your side and you're not in a cash rich position, meaning you have the ability to actually be a little bit more flexible and give it a few months, focus on your site, figure out how you can get conversion rate right. The last thing I'm going to mention here, which is super important, is you can't actually do one of these completely in a silo, because if you just optimize for conversion rate and you have no site traffic running at all, you're never actually going to understand what's the true impact of this. So every single change that you make, whether it's conversion rate or in your ads, make sure that you're documenting these and make sure that there's enough statistically significant traffic coming to your site. The last part, which is the third pillar of retention, how do you know when to prioritize this? Only prioritize retention first if both marketing and conversion rate are high and people do not come back for a second purchase. Retention takes the longest to fix. It takes the longest to actually create that customer process of coming back 2, 3, 4 times. You can probably get away with enhancing your email marketing, fixing up some of your text message and notifications, but realistically, in order to drive people back a second, third, fourth time, you need to improve your product experience in a big way. You need to make your product repeatable. You probably need to offer more new products, whether those are flavors, sizes, or just completely different SKUs altogether. Now you need to know, what do I do next? There's actually 2 phases here. Phase 1 is home runs. Truly swing for the fences, trying to get the biggest, most impactful change in your business right away. And the second part is the optimization process of literally non-stop optimizing and fixing your campaigns, fixing everything in your business slowly and steadily over time. The 4 biggest things that you need to focus on from a marketing perspective are going to be creative test, strategy, structure, and distribution. Starting at creative test, take a look at everything that you're running right now and create something completely different. If you are used to running hi-fi, beautiful images on your site, try to run catalog, try to run ugly ads, put post-it note ads in there. You might ask why. We've proven out that this has worked better. A, market changes. B, products change. So in the last 2 years, we've seen a tremendous change into TikTok platforms, short form video, and we need to adapt to those platforms and where the consumer is instead of trying to just force and jam what's always worked. Run product on white backgrounds, run ads that are shot on iPhones, run ads that are shot in studio imagery. Just allow the algorithm to figure out what works best for your specific audience. From a strategy and structure standpoint, first on the Facebook ad side, run bid caps or run cost caps. Try to avoid falling victim to Advantage Plus or just running the same amount of money every single day. Bid caps and cost caps are going to give you cost controls that actually allow you to hit your targets more efficiently. So if you're dealing with efficiency struggles and not scaling struggles, really hit and lean into cost caps and bid caps. Functionally, a bid cap or cost cap provides a measure that you are willing to pay for a conversion in Facebook ads. Instead of just setting your budget in Facebook and saying, hey, Facebook, spend $1,000 a day, go for it. Bid caps and cost cap are only going to spend your budget when they're likely to actually drive the conversion that you are willing to pay for. So if you have a $50 cost per acquisition, you set your bid cap or your cost cap to $50, in most cases going to hit $50 or under, whereas a pure regular budget campaign, lowest cost campaign, can function in any way possible and just spend your money all the way through and try to do the best possible thing for you, not necessarily guaranteeing or being precisely close to the goal that you have. The second thing that you might want to try on the Google side is switching from a target ROAS to a target CPA. In fact, you could also run both of these at the same time. You might ask, why would I do that? If you are running a business right now and you're only spending $1,000 a day on Google, I would highly suggest moving from target ROAS to target CPA. The only difference between a target ROAS and a target CPA in terms of Google's algorithm is literally telling Google, here's one extra variable that you need to calculate to see if you think I can get this conversion. When you're running at a target CPA, you're giving Google only one single variable, or really 2 variables. You're telling Google, spend this much to drive a conversion. You don't care about how much the conversion is worth. So then it becomes your job or our job as the agency to actually look at what are your product groups, what are your average order values, and then you could derive a perfect target CPA according to those. If you're spending in the range of $2,000 to $3,000 a day in Google, you are completely fine running a target ROAS. Your products are not worth $2,000 to $3,000 a piece, and your average order value is somewhere under under $300 or $400. The final piece of this is distribution. Where is your money being spent? And making sure that there's a proper distribution between Facebook, Google Ads, and even other platforms like TikTok, Snap, and so on. It's really, really important that you measure everything on an apples to apples basis. So I would highly recommend you use the Shopify marketing dashboard or Google Analytics to understand your click data, and then be mindful that some platforms like Facebook are going to provide less click data and more view data than a platform like Google that has much more intent and highly focuses on click data. Moving on to conversion rates. Here are 3 tests you can run right now that have the opportunity to be a home run for you. Run a price test across all of your products. If your business is driving $1 million in revenue, see what happens to your conversion rate when you improve your price or increase your price by 10%. Do the same to see what would happen if you decrease your price by 10%. If you see that a 10% increase in price equates to only a 2% drop in conversions, then you have a winner on your hands because you've increased your average order value by a higher percentage than the decrease in conversion rate. Focus on that price point. That is something you can tweak constantly. Don't worry if your price is changing, if it's developing. We really need to sustain our business model. The second test is the offer. This is going to play hand in hand with the price, but you could do giveaway offers, cash back offers that give discount codes, or potentially even cash back to customers to get gift cards at your business. The third thing you can do for offers is just simply a welcome offer and changing that from 10% to 15% to 20% and seeing the impact of each of those. Never go beyond 20% on your welcome offer because you always need to have margin for bigger, more impactful sales beyond 20%. And the final place that is a home run capability is your product page. Really understand how much can we take away from the product page to provide a seamless experience that still educates the customer, but ultimately drives them to get to checkout as quick as possible. So when you're adjusting a product page, really focus on moving that add to cart button as high as possible and look at it in mobile only. Unless you're selling 5,000 products, most of your page views are coming from mobile devices. So what you need to do is edit your website in a mobile view. So make sure that everything you're doing on your product page is condensed, tight, very easy to see, very easy to interact with, and most important, fast. So the final piece here is retention. Now there's 2 sides of this. There's retention in the way of getting your existing consumers to repurchase right now, and the second side of it, which is consistently building a machine that will get every single consumer that ever purchases with you now and forever to repurchase again and again and again. The first part of that is just new product launches. Launch new products that are relative to your consumers, that fit in your brand. High quality products will drive higher retention rates, will drive your business much further, much faster. Second is that system, that machine that I just talked about. In order to build that machine on retention, there are basically 2 levers that you need to pull. A consistent, non-spammy SMS program. And for that, I would actually recommend Klaviyo SMS. So it's all in one place with your email provider. The second part is exactly email. Email marketing is going to be critical to building that retention. Make sure you have proper welcome flows, win back flows, abandoned cart flows, and really anything that you need to pull on to make that consumer know that you're still here, you're still offering products, you're offering discounts, and you have offers for them at all times. You're ready, you're top of mind. If you do this all in a non-spammy way, your retention rates are going to improve. And more importantly, if you do this at the same time that you're launching new products, that you're improving your current product set, consumers are going to love you. Now it's time to get to the stage where you're constantly optimizing and improving your entire business unit related to marketing, conversion rate, and retention. So in this case, we're just going to take the next Monday, which is 4/1/2024, and literally all we're going to do is move this 7 days at a time. So we're going to do 4/8/2024, and we're just going to track our weeks from this point forward. And I would generally break this out by quarter. Then what we're going to do is first, we need to start on the marketing side of things. So we're going to say marketing. The next piece, which is going to go down a few levels, is going to be conversion rate. Next piece down a few levels is going to be retention. All we need to do is track the most core KPIs associated to each of these buckets that we've went through for like 30 minutes already. For marketing, all we need to check is amount spent in all of our platforms, purchases, and revenue associated to those purchases. I would generally recommend in this case, use one source of truth. Don't overcomplicate this. Use the Shopify marketing dashboard to get all of your data in here. For conversion rate, we're literally taking site visitors and we are taking conversions. And then for retention, there are a lot of KPIs you can have here, but the number one KPI you want is repeat purchasers. So once you have this, all you have to do every single week at the end of the week, or really on the following Monday, is just track your core metrics in here. This could be literally as simple as you typing in, we spent $7,000 last week. We drove 70 purchases from it. And those 70 purchases resulted in $8,000 of revenue because our average order value was X, Y, and Z. And you can just do the same thing all the way down the list. This keeps everyone on your team and anyone you hire completely responsible. This is literally going to be a sheet that cannot be fooled, and you can see and establish trend lines. The coolest thing about this is not only will this track where are things going year over year, it's all in one place and it's as simple as it can be. You're tracking what's most critical. This is literally the most simple version of tracking what's going on and how are we tracking to the goal that we ultimately set. In the right side over here, I would recommend putting your goals for each of this, and you can actually see how these goals back out to exact revenue numbers when you start to assign dollar amounts to each of these KPIs. And now it's time to scale. All you have to do now is push where you can. If Facebook ads is driving you a 3x return and you need a 2.5, spend as hard as you can until you get to that 2.5 break even that you need to achieve. Scaling is literally a measure of pushing when you can and pulling back when you need to pull back. What I would recommend when you're scaling is keep the structure in place that has gotten you from 1 to 2 million or for 500 to a million. Push harder on it, create more creatives, iterate faster, hire more people to actually create things for you. So therefore you could push them into the ad account so you can actually optimize and run A/B tests more efficiently and faster. And that is exactly what I would do to take any e-commerce business from $1 million to $10 million in 2024 within the next 6 months. Chances are, if you're running Facebook and Google ads for yourself right now, you know how much of a hassle it is to implement a full system like this. Creative testing, optimization, scaling, monitoring, reporting, everything taken care of can be 2-3 full-time jobs on their own. Everything we do at the Moonlighters is completely focused on taking that out of your hands and implementing the system that I just walked through into your business today. If you are spending over $30,000 a month and you'd like to work with us, go to the moonlighters.co and sign up to have a discovery call with us. See if you're a good fit and a good match to work with us in 2024. If you're under $30,000 in ad spend right now, keep grinding, implement this system, see if it works for you. Let me know if anyone has questions in the comments below, and make sure to watch our full 2024 best paid ad strategy, including some of the systems that we're using right now with our current clients like bid caps, audience testing, interest-based audiences, and a whole lot more. We'll talk soon, and I'll see you in the next one.